From being a gifted player to the most hated player in history. That is a huge mark to carry forward. Being in the NFL is known as a violent game among many. Let's see how things turned out for Vontaze Burfict, who became one of the most hated players in the NFL. In the United States of America, the game of football is slightly different from what others around the world call football. The game of soccer in some nations is known as football, but in the USA, football is a different game. NFL, or the National Football League, is a professional American football league comprising of 32 teams. Divided equally between the National Football Conference and the American Football Conference, the NFL is one of the major professional sports leagues in Canada, the United States, and the world's highest professional level of American football. Each NFL season begins with a 3-week preseason in August, followed by an 18-week regular season, which runs from early September to early January, with each team playing 17 games and having one bye week. Following the end of the regular season, 7 teams from each conference advance to the playoffs, a single elimination game that builds up into the Super Bowl, which is conducted in February and is played between the NFC and AFC conference champions. The league is nerve-centered in New York City. With a lot of players actively playing in the NFL, there are bound to be more than a few that have drawn the rage of fans from around the world. According to Pro Football Reference, nearly 27,000 players have played in at least one NFL game. Many of them have been loved and adored by their fans, the media, teammates, and even opponents. But let us be honest, most of those 27,000 players have achieved little to no fame by an average person. Although some NFL players, including ones loved by many, have also gained incomprehensible hate. They could be hated for their aggressive playing styles, unconventional personalities, or simply hated because they are damn good at the game they play. Others have generated hate from their religious or socio-political stances, as many think politics and religion should never be mixed with sports. What makes a player hated can come down to many different factors. Maybe a player made some wrong decisions in their personal life that changed how fans contemplated them. Sometimes leaving a fan's favorite team can also make the fans hate a player for no other reason. The absolute trounce is when a player is simply too good, which seems to be the only reason the fans hate them. Regardless of any reason, many NFL players and fans just can't help hating. Ndamukong Suh, Kareem Hunt, Jalen Ramsey, Josh Norman, Ezekiel Elliott, and Vontaze Burfict are some of the players to name. But in the history of the NFL, Vontaze Burfict is the most hated NFL player among the fans. If we need to dive into why a player like Vontaze Burfict is so hated, we need to take a deep look into the roots of the cause. Vontaze DeLeon Burfict Jr., commonly known as Vontaze Burfict, is an American football linebacker who played in the National Football League, or NFL as known short, for 8 seasons. Primarily with the Cincinnati Bengals. A first team that was All-American at Arizona State, Burfict was forecasted top pick in the 2012 NFL Draft until an unremarkable NFL combined performance and personality concerns led to him not being selected for the NFL squad. He was signed as an unrated free agent by the Cincinnati Bengals, where he spent his first 7 seasons. In his final season, he got a membership in the Oakland Raiders. In 2013, Vontaze Burfict led the Bengals in tackles during his rookie season and gained Pro Bowl honors. He also stirred up controversies throughout his career for habitually violating player safety rules, which caused him to be suspended for 22 games and accumulated over $5.3 million in penalties and forfeited salary. Burfict missed most of his Raiders contracts due to being suspended for 10 games for a personal foul. This foul is still considered the longest on-field suspension in NFL history. During his time of schooling, Burfict was part of an undefeated Huskies team that won a CIF state showdown with the help of quarterback Taylor Martinez. In 2008, the team was ranked 2nd in the nation by USA Today. The same year, Burfict led the Huskies with 159 tackles, 2 quarterback sacks, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. Burfict participated in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl and was the 3rd leading tackle for the West team. He also gained several All-American honors, including a parade. Burfict missed almost all of the reckless season due to academic problems. As a junior, Burfict collected 130 tackles and added 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 1 mishandled recovery. He helped secure a linebacker unit that included fellow players Brandon McGee and Sun Devils Shelly Lyons. Corona Centennial finished the 2007 season as number 24 on USA Today's Top 25. He also played in the 2009 U.S. Army All-American Bowl. He was also considered a 5-star recruit by Rivals.com and Scout.com. Burfict was listed as the number 1 inside linebacker lookout in the nation. Burfict's notoriety for hard and often illegal hits dates back to his high school days. In 2019, as reported by USA Today, Burfict's mother told that several parents frequently came up to her and requested her to tell her son not to strike their son so hard. Burfict's uncle recollected that. At the time, helmet-to-helmet hits were not discountenanced on as much as they were by the time he made it to the NFL. Burfict's rivalry with quarterback Matt Barkley, which continued into their college days, began in high school. In a match against Barkley's Mater D High School, Burfict made hits aimed at Barkley's knees that Barkley then later described as dirty. Both Burfict and Barkley were pledged to USC when the incident occurred. The linebacker's career has been a continual parade of frightful hits and trembling acts. The league had finally taken him off the field. Vontaze Burfict has long been considered one of the NFL's dirtiest players, and not in a misguided hankering for the good old days. Don't we all inwardly enjoy it? His play is not tough, but fair. It's a game that is considered vicious and violent. He does not run merely to tackle opponents. He often appears to be playing to harm them too. So there is no surprise he was rewarded with many suspensions until he retired. Burfict's suspension was likely to be reduced on appeal, as was the case with his 5-game ban in 2017, which was later reduced to 3 on appeal. As the relatedness between football and brain trauma grows, the NFL is trying to crack down on head injuries. Punishing Burfict heavily is an easy and fan-friendly decision, but it's also one that sends a strong notice to every other locker room that, in a modern game, this type of violence is not tolerated. During his time in the NFL, Burfict had missed 22 games due to suspensions, roughly about 19% of his career. In monetary terms, he had cost himself $4.6 million in salary and has been fined 9 other times, costing around $411,000. Over $5 million of his career earnings were washed away by his reckless playing style. Burfict's a troubling pattern of behavior stretches back to his schooling days. He was a top high school sign-up at his position in the country. Recruiting site 247 Sports listed Burfict as the 11th best candidate in the country and one of the 250 best players in high school football history. He still ranks as the 39th best player to ever come out of the state of California, which has provided the football world with talent-rich players. Although Burfict received some elite-level college scholarship offers, he ended up at Arizona State with a third-rated program. The best of the best had heard all about Burfict's reputation. Burfict had serious anger issues, and the story was told. One by one, they chose to pass him. In football, passing up on a linebacker because he is titled to anger issues is like passing on the Beatles because their music is too catchy to listen to. Linebackers are the tone setters in a savage, collision-based sport. Find a linebacker with anger problems, and you'll see a trail of 40 coaches scuttling behind, certain in their belief that they are the ones who can help channel the brutality into controlled aggression. This was not the case for Burfict. He had clearly first-round potential in the NFL draft, and teams loved his athleticism, intuition, and persistence. Yet, he was not to be drafted by any team. High school mutters turned out to be facts in college, and he also failed a drug test at the NFL Combine. Managers and coaches across the league did not want to bear the risk on a player with so many red flags. His years with the Bengals were spoiled by spells on the sidelines and suspensions and penalties stacked up. No other player in the league's history has that kind of rap sheet as Vontaze Burfict. And these anger issues and violent play tactics led him to be the most hated player in the history of the NFL. Dealing with anger is a huge step. So considering all these facts, a player with such great talent could not make it to the fans due to his violence. What do you guys think about it? Would you people hate your favorite players if they possessed a violent play tactic? Comment down your views. Until we meet with an exciting topic in the next video, adios.